4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Here we go. Okay, and I'm still working on the. I had a real breakthrough last night. I got to write out some notes about AI, and one of the problems with AI people underestimate is that because the machine isn't really cognizant of change. As humans, we live we remember the past to make decisions. We don't remember it with much clarity or even accuracy, but we remember some of the directional things about our past, and we make decisions in light of the future. Mainly, we live in the future and we make decisions. Okay, and so you say, well, I really want ice cream, but in the past, I got really fat. And in the future, I will be fat again if I eat as much ice cream as I used to eat. See how that works? What we do is we take data from the past and we generalize into the future. And because we generalize, we can predict the future to some extent. And without that weird perspective that humans bring to the process, you don't even have the incentive to make generalizations. And you think, well, yeah, but AI doesn't have to worry about that because it just tweaks stuff. And it picks the best variables and it redefines the model. And that's a big danger because unless you attempt explanations, unless you try to directionally tell a story, you end up with nothing. You end up with a tweak that has no story. And you can't generalize into the future, so you can't strategically apply the model. You can only apply it on an instance-by-instance basis. So when I first started in the direct mail business, my list broker gave me 6 lists to test. And he said, when you get these tested, then let me know how they did. And I said, well, what kind of lists are they? Don't worry about that. I said, what other lists are available? He said, don't worry about that. Just try these and see what happens. But see, when you do that, when you take that approach of just let's identify what worked and what didn't, and then we'll go figure it out. Data-driven marketing. But when you do that, you have no generalization to test. So anyway, we're going to have a big deep dive into that, into the AI dangers and how to fix it and how to test it in 90 days, guaranteed. And I keep trying to move it out because there's so much going on in my head about AI that I really want to try and do it justice. So, to be determined, write me if you think it's a good idea. I think it'll be illustrative. So, on that note, let's get over to something more fun. Let's go over here to the Windows Capture and let's knock out the PDFs and let's go watch a little commercial.
Santa, you got to try these.
Don't mind if I do. You know, usually everybody's asleep when I come in.
Well, my friend, I'm a night owl.
This holiday, enjoy sweet treats with good friends. Smile. Crest has you covered. Crest, the official toothpaste of Santa.
I wonder how they got Santa to endorse Crest. That's what I wanted to know. But anyway, Bertha here. Bertha was actually she won the contest about, here's Bertha. She won a contest and her life dream or whatever, she wrote to Crest and her life dream was to be on a commercial. And so they put her in one. And how cool is that? Isn't that nice? And she looks happy and, she got to meet the real Santa who also really does endorse Crest. On that note, let's go over to Tom Fishburne. Okay. The Island of Misfit Toys. How the Island of Misfits became Misfits. Here's a cowboy. This is actually from the 1984, I believe it was 1984, Rudolph. And this is Rudolph, which lets you know that Tom is actually a pretty good artist. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer musical with Burl Ives and some other notables. This one was a cowboy riding an ostrich. That was one of them they came up with for the movie. This is an airplane that can't fly, though I did have an airplane like that actually was made out of steel and the propeller spun, but it didn't do much. I liked it. I remember it. This is an elephant that has the measles, I think. And this is a train with square wheels, which would have advantages in a car. Riding around, it wouldn't roll off the fold down table in the back seat. And Tom makes it's hard to say this stuff with a straight face. Tom makes the case here that every business has their own island of misfits, and most of the time we put them on an island out of sight. There's a new event series called Fail Festival, and they want to talk about failures publicly. And mistakes that get brushed under the rug do double harm. First, when we do the mistake, and then again every time someone else makes that same mistake because they didn't learn from the first error. He says when he was over at P&G, they had a product called Wahoo's. I don't know what a Wahoo was. I wish I did. I should have looked it up. But they said Wahoo became sort of a Voldemort code word for the product that shall not be named and the fear of creating another. Wahoo stifled other innovations across the company, trying not to avoid the same mistakes, and by avoiding ambitious innovations altogether. Amazon came up with a Fire phone, as an example of a multi-billion-dollar failure. I think they had a phone they had something in your house you could just, yell at, and it would call the fire department or call the police. But but he then talked about how the learnings, which I don't like that, how what they learned, the facts that came from that failure helped to build Echo and Alexa, which is kind of cool. Okay, and he said, if the size of your failures isn't growing, you're not going to be inventing at a size that can actually move the needle. And so here from 2010, so what breakthrough idea did you want to share with me? I've had a whole lifetime of breakthrough ideas that never got too far. But, you try. The 7 deadly sins of innovation: lust. Drop everything. It's a new sexy trend. Envy. If our competitor does it, shouldn't we do it too? Gluttony. The more features, the better. Greed. No one will notice if we cut a few corners. Sloth. If we work fast, we might launch it in 3 or 4 years. Pride. With our brand on it, it's sure to be a hit. And wrath. And if it fails, I'll just sack the team. I love that one. This one here, you are here, the innovation funnel, going down the drain to be devoured by the jaws. I just love Tom Fishburne. And in another note, Coca-Cola, which was the lead company when Manolo Arroyo, I guess, pulled. Oh no, that's the person filling the job. There was somebody. Coke's last this guy here. I won't try again. He had the CMO job, and instead of filling the job, the company at the time created this chief growth officer role, which included marketing in addition to corporate strategy and customer commercial operations. But that guy's retiring, and so they're going to divvy up that and get rid of the chief growth officer. I can highlight some of this stuff. Chief growth officer. I love this little highlighter thing. The new structure will spread their duties around, and there's now back to the CMO. So just FYI, now that the CEO title has been dead and everybody's gotten all kinds of crazy titles that no one takes seriously, they're actually reinstating the CMO. So there you go. And now let's just go over briefly to the who got it right in 2019. Click this button. I love the way it's actually working pretty well. David Shingley had a role as digital prophet. at Verizon. But he left his role in late 2018 and has not been hired by anyone else as far as the author knows. Okay, so WPP's Media Investment Group said total advertising will increase, digital will grow faster, and that happened, but it wasn't much to write home about. One of the things I liked in this article, though, was that it actually had a really telling little comment. Most online advertising is not actual advertising, but direct response. And by direct response, we mean something that generates an action, a click, or a registration, or a subscription, or actually a purchase. Although that's way at the far end, and it doesn't necessarily need to be that. And it doesn't necessarily, if it's not set up properly with testing, with A/B splits, you don't even know what's going on. But the author is correct. I don't have to say he or she. Let's go see who the author is. Samuel Scott. The author rightly points out that that's what most online advertising is. It's a measurement of response, direct response. And so he differentiates it from actual advertising. It's actually not advertising, but direct response. Now, I've always thought that they were two. There's general advertising and there's direct response advertising. Not to split hairs. Voice technology will break through? Not. Only 2% of media budgets go into voice, and it's not moving the needle. And cinema advertising continues to grow. The big screen will make a comeback. Well, domestic cinema revenue is flat, but it's just a drop in the bucket, so it's not much of a prediction. Overall advertising, yeah, they got it right, but it wasn't much of a prediction. Advertising will, here's the new one, we'll have more diversity. We'll get rid of ageism, which is, we market to kids. But old people don't mind seeing kids on the screen. Young people like seeing kids on the screen. It's a little bit like people of color. Whites don't seem to mind people of color in the ads, but if you only have whites in the ads, maybe people of color do mind. So the least common denominator is put in people of color, even if that's not your market at all. May not make any sense, but it's been the trend lately. And I think the trend, basically it said, no, old people are not in front of the camera, and ad agencies fire you when you get over 40. Growing disillusionment is a prediction. Maybe marketers will become more skeptical of rewards and risks of the shiny and new. Maybe. GDPR is spreading. California, takes effect January 1st. And now Maine and somebody else have passed similar laws based on California. So it's spreading, and so good luck with that. So tomorrow maybe we'll throw in the hope for 2020. Thanks, Samuel Scott. Have a great day. I'm John Miglosh. Like and share. I should go back over here. Whatever I end with seems to matter. No, that's not the one. I like this one better. Let's end with this one on the screen. Whatever I end with seems to be the island of misfits. Oops, I got too many buttons to hit, but I like this. I like this as a visual at the end. I got to fix the visuals at the end. There we go. I even got Tom in there a little bit. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Merry Christmas.